In conjunction with Hardcore Wrestling Radio and WGS-TV, along with ZFX, I'm Double B Billy Boudreaux, along with the host of Hardcore Wrestling Radio, the Illuminous One, the Shining Star, Rick Star. Rick, how you doing?
I'm hanging in there, Billy. Thanks for having me.
And ladies and gentlemen, we do have a very special guest to talk with you on, with us here on this very special interview. Former ECW star, and simply known as the sexiest man on earth, man known as Jason, aka Jason Knight from World Wrestling Organization. Jason, it was over a month ago over at the Pro Wrestling Syndicate Supercard show out of New Jersey, where we saw former ECW original New Jack wrestle
Yeah.
his very last match in his career against CZW's Necro Butcher. What are your thoughts and your reactions to the official retirement of New Jack from the wrestling industry?
Well, I'm very sad by it because uh, New Jack is one of the guys that I got along with, probably the best in the ECW. I mean, we were on the road together and hung out together. We were in some horrid bar fights together, too, and yeah, we've gone through all that, and never took any shit from anyone. Always had our, I mean, wherever we were, we ended up in some places where we literally pretty much World War III our way out of there, and so there's a lot of respect, and I think that uh, he's a very unique individual because of his style and where he brought in, and he kind of brought in that less is more type of a thing, and it's he brought that street fight value, and which was there before, but he took it to another level. And obviously, a lot of kids these days, they think they're mini New Jacks or whatever, and that'll never be. So for me, if he decided to retire, he did it for his own reasons, and I'm I I wasn't there. I didn't see it, but I'm sure that if it was him and Necro Butcher, they probably tore the house down, and I'm sure it was something I'd like to see on a DVD one of these days. Just I think that, and especially he's like in best shape of his life. He he's training hard, watching what he eats and all that type of thing. But he's got his own reasons, and I respect that. And I think that the day that New Jack retired, professional wrestling lost quite a superstar.
Actually, I have a question. There's a little bit of changing gears.
Yeah.
Um, there's a new documentary that's coming out that has to do with ECW. It's called Barbed Wire City. And it's out in your area, um, out in New Jersey. What do you think? Actually, I'm sorry, Philadelphia. What do you think about this documentary? And has they even possibly talked to you about being a part of this documentary?
I have no clue. This is like, I think someone wrote to me something about it. I never even knew what it's about. And I mean, I think, in my own humble opinion, I think that, being one of the ECW originals, I was there in 1993 for the Ultra Clash in the fall of 1993 at the ECW Arena when Paul Heyman, the original Extreme dude, took over. And it would be, I think it would be very nice if someone would call me to be there and do that. But I'm not sure. I don't know. This is like to say I didn't even know what it was, but now you're telling me it's a documentary about ECW. No, I would love to. Definitely like to be a part of it. But then again, I would have loved to have been a part of the TNA ECW thing, and it didn't happen. And it just disappointed me, and left sort of like a bitter pill, with me. And I hope this is not or uh, another one that'll do the same because
Well,
I truly believe that I should be part of something like that because I was there from the very beginning. I was there when we were making next to nothing or nothing. I was there when we were working only a day or two a month, before the whole thing took over. And quite frankly, I was there way before a lot of the guys came in and they were working every weekend, and making money. And I mean, and if you look at like, the ECW originals, you you got the originals, I mean, like back in the day, you got guys like the Rockin' Rebel, right? And, Hot Body and Stetson, and, the Petrucci and his partner, and guys like that, Tommy Cairo, and there are a lot of people that should, ECW did not just take over after the mid '90s. If we're talking, there were guys there way before me, guys and girls like Angel Amoroso and Tigra, and all these different girls, Sandman and Peaches, and I mean. It's not just after the birth of, let's say, Rob Van Dam or whomever, you know what I mean, or Two Cold Scorpio, or and nothing against those guys, but I'm just saying, ECW goes way back, and if you're really going to paint a true picture of ECW isn't Extreme Championship Wrestling, you need to go back to at least a little bit before, when it was Eastern Championship Wrestling. How about Todd Gordon?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
come on, people, here we go. How about JT Smith? I mean, all the guys that were there that made that company, and then unfortunately, they were forgotten, and it's a crying shame.
I kind of remember
And
JT Smith kind of having a gimmick calling himself an Italian stallion.
no, that was like later on. But JT Smith, used to come out to he had so he was really the original ECW guy that would jump off the eagle's nest and do all that. I mean, he was the guy that would do anything. Just absolutely tough as a $2 steak, and one of the nicest guys, a hell of a look, always in shape, big dude. He could wrestle, he could do it all. And one of the best guys. I mean, there were a lot of guys back then. Even guys like Donnie Allen, who gave it everything. I mean, he would come in and do whatever. He could manage, he could wrestle. He would take a bump for anyone. Just a very, very humble guy. Someone that really, there are a lot of people who deserve to be credited for Extreme Championship Wrestling. Even if they were not there when Extreme Championship Wrestling evolutionized, because they were there, during the ECW, the Eastern Time, and they were, let's put it this way, there's so many that paved the way for me to come in 1993, like Hunter Q. Robbins III, who was the manager before me, and other people like I said, Stetson, Hot Body, and it's almost like I know these names, and the guys and the girls, they were all tough as nails, and they could go, like I said, I always remember these people that paved the way for me because they were there before I was. I was elsewhere. I did my WCW thing and WWE, WWF, and went overseas and did all these other indies. But 1993, I mean, I am an original, but they're the originals. They're even more veterans to that company than I am.
I got a question for you. ECW back in the day was really known for having hardcore, smash mouth, violent type of matches. What would be some of the few matches that you've seen in your tenure in ECW that really like stick out in your mind to this day as being like one of the most brutal things you've ever seen?
Well, I think that one of the most brutal things that I've ever seen was Mike Awesome wrestling JT Smith. The late Mike Awesome, who was one of the greatest ever. I mean, we need a whole other chapter, just for that guy alone, because he deserved 100 times more than what he got in business. When he power bombed, and we're talking that like almost like that Razor's Edge type power bomb, running power bomb.
Mm-hmm.
He did that to JT Smith, ran from one side of the ring to the other, over the top rope, and threw him out. No, I'm sorry. No, no, that wasn't it. He, no, when he did the leaping dive over the top rope onto JT Smith, and Smith was right across the rail, the guardrail, and literally broke him in half. I mean, it literally looked like it broke him, because that was one of the most memorable things being done without the use of a chair or fire or thumbtacks or whatever. I mean, anyone can pick up a folding chair and hit another guy over the head with it hard, and then break the chair in his head, and then get a chance. But to me, the more memorable things are the ones that are done flesh to flesh, that type of a thing, and I mean, I think Tanaka and Awesome matches were unbelievable, because they would do the reverse roll, where Tanaka would sometimes drop Awesome off over the top rope through a table, and we're talking like a 300 tom, and sometimes missing a table and all that. To me, those things are a lot more memorable than the use of thumbtacks and fire and blades and things like that. And I think that also, one of the scariest things was at Poughkeepsie, I believe, New York, when New Jack fell off the scaffold with Vic Grimes, and really fell on his head. I mean, that was like that really could have been it, So
Wow.
Things like that are more. I mean, there are other things. I mean, one guy goes for one table, the other guy's through two. Then the other guy's gonna say, "I'm gonna go through 5 tables." I mean, that thing is, okay, it's there, it's dangerous, it's planned out. We're doing it. Very, very dangerous. And if it goes wrong, it's a bad thing. But to me, these things, when I see these things that are done physical, it's like body on body contact. To me, that's a lot more impressive.
I kind of remember an instance where there was Tanaka and Mike Awesome. I'm trying to remember if it happened to Tanaka or if it happened to Awesome. But I do remember there was one spot they were doing the running power bomb, and I think it might have been Awesome, and he did the spot over the top rope, and I believe it was Tanaka, and he completely missed the table and ended up landing on the back of his neck, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, more than likely. I mean, things like that happen because it's, during the heat of the whole thing, you can plan things out and say, okay, I'm going to put the table exactly here or there, and then during the match, I mean, if that, you got to realize that canvas is loose just a little bit, and you trip up, that could mean a disaster. And when they set that ring up and it's all nice and tight and everything, and you're like the 5th match, and 4 matches before you just ran through all these spots, and that the boards get loose and the ropes and the canvas gets all wrinkled up and everything. It's very hard to guarantee that things are going to go right 100% every time. Especially these days where everyone's trying to top, and it's almost like every company's trying to top up what ECW did, and that's kind of interesting, because none of them ever did anything like that before, we came.
Star concerts. Star concerts. Star Concerts. Stoke Concerts. Spirituals medium. Stoke Concerts. Stoke Concerts. I'm Haley Ringrose. Stoke Concerts.
My name's Andrew Weatherall.
Spirituals medium. Stoke Concerts.